The Cathari invasion and the discovery the morning Captain Sarah Chen received humanity's death sentence. She was drinking coffee and reviewing supply reports at Lunar Base. The coffee was terrible, recycled through filters that had seen better decades, but it was hot and it was caffeinated. Those were the only requirements that mattered when you were stationed on humanity's first permanent off-world military installation. The alert klaxons started screaming at 0347 hours, turning her peaceful morning into chaos. Chen spilled the coffee across her desk as she lunged for the communications console, her training taking over before her brain fully processed what was happening. The voice crackling through the speakers belonged to Admiral Rodriguez, commander of Earth's orbital defense grid. All stations, this is Control. We have multiple unidentified contacts dropping out of hyperspace. Count is ... Jesus Christ, there are hundreds of them. Chun's blood turned to ice water. Humanity had been sending radio signals into space for over 2 centuries, basically announcing their existence to anyone listening. The xenobiologists had argued they were alone, that the universe was vast and empty. They had been catastrophically wrong. Through Lunar Base's reinforced windows, Chen watched the alien fleet materialize like a nightmare made manifest. The ships were massive, each one easily the size of a city block, their hulls gleaming with an oily iridescence that hurt to look at directly. They moved in perfect formation, a coordination that spoke of centuries of military precision. Captain Chen, came the voice of her communications officer, Lieutenant Rodriguez. We're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel. It's in English. The main screen flickered to life, revealing something that would haunt Chun's dreams for the rest of her life. The creature addressing them stood nearly 8 feet tall, its body covered in chitinous armor that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. 4 arms extended from its torso, each ending in hands that possessed too many fingers with too many joints. But it was the eyes that truly terrified her, dozens of them, scattered across its elongated skull like black pearls, each one tracking independently. Primitive humans of the third world from this star, the creature spoke, its voice, a harmonious blend of tones that suggested multiple vocal cords. I am War Primes Altos of the Cathari Empire. Your species has been judged suitable for incorporation into our labor forces. You will surrender immediately and submit to processing. Resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your planet. Chen felt her stomach drop. This wasn't first contact. This was an extermination notice. Admiral Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm system. This is Admiral Rodriguez of the United Earth Defense Force. We request peaceful negotiations. Surely we can reach some form of diplomatic solution. The alien's laugh was like breaking glass mixed with the screaming of metal. Diplomacy is for equals. You are insects who have learned to make noise. Your orbital installations will be destroyed. First, followed by your population centers. You have 1 of your hours to consider surrender. The transmission ended, leaving humanity staring at its own reflection in a blank screen that might as well have been a mirror showing their graves. What followed was the most one-sided battle in human history. The Cathari weapons turned Lunar Base into expanding clouds of superheated plasma in the first volley. Chen survived only because she had been in the radiation-shielded communications bunker when the antimatter torpedoes hit. The base's emergency systems kept her alive long enough to watch Earth's orbital defenses die one by one. Mars colony went silent after transmitting footage of ships the size of mountains descending through the planet's thin atmosphere. The asteroid mining stations simply vanished, their final signals cut off mid-centers. Within 4 hours, humanity's presence in space had been reduced to scattered escape pods and debris fields. On Earth, the bombardment began with surgical precision. The Cathari targeted military installations first, their energy weapons carving through the planet's strongest defenses like a hot knife through butter. The Pentagon became a crater of fused glass. NORAD's mountain fortress was carved open like a can. Its secrets spilled across the Colorado landscape. General Marcus Webb watched the end of the world from Deep Station Echo, a facility buried for miles beneath the Antarctic ice. The station had been built during the height of the Cold War, expanded and modernized over the decades until it became something that officially didn't exist. Webb had commanded the base for 12 years, overseeing research projects that pushed the boundaries of human knowledge. "Sir," called Dr. Alina Vasquez from her workstation, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. "The deep array is picking up something unusual. The bombardment is causing seismic activity, and it's activating something down here." Webb moved to stand behind her, watching the displays that showed the bedrock beneath Antarctica. The bombardment was indeed causing earthquakes, but the seismic readings were wrong. The waves were too regular, too purposeful. They looked less like random geological activity and more like a heartbeat. "How deep?" Webb asked. 12 miles down, at least." "But Marcus, look at this." Vasquez pulled up a different display, one that showed energy readings from the base's experimental quantum sensors. "Whatever's down there is putting out a power signature that's off our scales. It's been dormant, but the seismic activity is causing it to wake up." Webb felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Antarctic cold. Deep Station Echo wasn't just a research facility. It was built on top of something that had been discovered during the original excavation. Something that had been classified beyond even his clearance level. The official reports called it a geological anomaly, but Webb had seen enough classified documents to know bureaucratic doublespeak when he encountered it. "Access the Erebus files," Webb ordered. Vasquez's fingers froze over her keyboard. "Sir, those files are sealed. The classification level is higher than either of us possess." "The classification level assumes we still have a government to court-martial us," Webb replied grimly. "Override the locks. If we're about to die, I want to know what we're dying on top of." The files that appeared on the screen rewrote human history. In 1957, during the construction of the original research station, drilling teams had encountered something impossible. 12 miles beneath the ice, they had found a chamber. Not a natural cave, but a constructed space filled with technology that predated human civilization by millions of years. The photographs showed structures that defied description. Massive rings of unknown metal suspended in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Conduits that pulsed with energy that registered on no known spectrum. And at the center of it all, something that the original researchers had simply called the sleepers. "My God," Vasquez whispered, scrolling through images of beings that were clearly not human. They were enormous, icily 30 feet tall, their bodies a fusion of organic and mechanical components. Tubes and cables ran through their forms like veins, connecting them to the vast machinery that surrounded them. Their faces, what could be seen of them, were serene and ageless. "The reports say they're alive," Webb said, reading over her shoulder. "Hibernating, but alive. The energy readings suggest they've been down there for at least 50 million years." Above them, the war continued. The Cathari had moved from military targets to population centers, their weapons turning cities into craters of cooling glass. Beijing disappeared in a flash of white light. London became a memory. New York's skyline was reduced to twisted metal and ash dot. But deep beneath Antarctica, something was stirring. The seismic monitors showed increasing activity, and the energy readings were climbing exponentially. Whatever the sleepers were, they were responding to the violence above. "Sir," Vasquez said, her voice barely a whisper, "the deep chamber is opening. The seals that have held for 50 million years are breaking." Webb made a decision that would change the course of human history. Initiate contact protocols. If those things are about to wake up, I want to be the first voice they hear. The communication system that connected to the deep chamber was a marvel of reverse-engineered technology, built from components that had been found with the sleepers. It had never been used, existing only as a theoretical possibility in classified reports. Now, with the world ending above them, it represented humanity's last desperate gambit. The response came immediately, flooding the chamber with a voice that seemed to speak directly into their minds. It was vast and ancient, carrying the weight of eons and the patience of geological time. But underneath the alien nature of it, Webb heard something that made his heart race with desperate hope. It was curious about them. "Small builders," the voice said, each word resonating through their bones. "You have awakened us with your pain. Your world burns above, but you do not flee. You stand upon our resting place and face the ending with courage. This is ... unexpected." Webb keyed the communication system, his hands shaking as he spoke the words that would either save humanity or doom it. "We are humans. Our world is being destroyed by invaders. We don't know what you are, but we're hoping you might help us." The silence that followed seemed to last forever. Then, from 12 miles below, came something that might have been laughter. "Help," the voice asked. "Small builders, you have built your nest upon the resting place of the architects. We who shaped worlds when your son was young. We who watched civilizations rise and fall like waves upon a shore. And you ask for help?" "Yes," Webb said simply. "We're asking for help." The seismic readings spiked, and throughout Deep Station Echo, the lights flickered as something vast began to move in the depths below. Asterisk. The awakening and the price of victory, the first sign that something had changed, came from the Ketheri fleet itself. Warprime Zaltos was reviewing the bombardment reports when his sensor operator began making distressed clicking sounds that indicated extreme alarm. "Warprime," the operator said, his voice tight with fear. "The planet's southern pole is generating massive energy readings. The signatures they're not like anything in our databases." Zaltos moved to the sensor station, his forearms working the controls with practiced efficiency. What he saw made his blood run cold. The energy signatures rising from Antarctica were not just powerful, they were ancient. The quantum resonance patterns matched theoretical models of technology from the predecessor races, the mysterious civilizations that had vanished before the Ketheri had even evolved. "It's not possible," he whispered. "The predecessors have been extinct for 60 million years." But the readings continued to climb, and now his gravitational sensors were detecting something that made his tactical mind recoil in horror. Something massive was moving beneath the ice, something that was displacing matter on a scale that defied comprehension. 12 miles beneath Antarctica, the architects were waking up. The first one to emerge was designated Keeper Prime by the ancient systems that monitored their sleep. It rose through stone and ice as if they were water, its massive form reshaping reality around it. 30 feet tall and graceful despite its size, It was a fusion of organic and mechanical components that had been perfected over millions of years of evolution and engineering. General Webb watched, through cameras that had been installed in the deep chamber, seeing something that redefined humanity's understanding of what was possible. The Keeper Prime's body was covered in what looked like living metal, surfaces that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury but maintained their structural integrity. Cables and conduits ran through its form like veins, pulsing with energy that registered across multiple spectrums, but it was the eyes that truly captured his attention. They were vast and intelligent, containing depths that spoke of eons of experience. When they focused on the camera, Webb felt as if he were being examined by something that had watched the birth and death of stars. Small builders, the Keeper spoke, its voice resonating through the communication system. We have slept long, and the galaxy has changed. Your species was not even a dream when we last walked among the stars. Yet you have built your nest upon our resting place and faced extinction with courage. This intrigues us. Webb activated the communication system, his heart pounding with the magnitude of what was happening. We didn't know you were here. We're sorry if we've disturbed you. The sound that came through the speakers might have been laughter. Disturbed us. Small builder, you have given us the greatest gift possible. You have given us purpose. We have watched your species through your brief existence, seen your struggles and your growth. You are young, but you possess something that we had forgotten. The willingness to stand against impossible odds. Above them, the Kethari bombardment continued, but now the energy readings from Antarctica were causing their sensors to scream. Warnings. War Prime Zeltos ordered his fleet to move to a higher orbit, his tactical instincts screaming that something was terribly wrong. The energy buildup is exceeding our measurement capabilities, his science officer reported. If these readings are accurate, whatever is down there has access to power sources that rival stellar cores. More architects were emerging now, rising through the ice like ancient gods returning to a world that had forgotten them. They were all different, some tall and slender, others broad and powerful, each one adapted for different purposes, but all sharing the same fusion of organic and mechanical components. They moved with purpose, their forms shifting and adapting as they assessed the situation above. Dr. Vasquez watched the readings from the deep chamber, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. Markers, the power sources they're using. They're not just drawing energy from the planet's core. They're tapping into quantum fluctuations in space-time itself. They're literally drawing power from the fabric of reality. The lead architect, Keeper Prime, had reached the surface now, its massive form breaking through the ice like a mountain being born. It stood in the Antarctic wasteland, its eyes turned toward the stars where the Cathari fleet hung like a sword over humanity's throat. Small builders, it spoke, its voice now broadcasting directly to every human communication system on Earth. Your enemy believes you are helpless. They see only your youth and your limited technology. They do not understand what you have achieved. Webb activated the global communication network, his voice carrying to every surviving human on Earth. This is General Webb, speaking from Antarctica. I know this sounds impossible, but we have allies, ancient allies who have been sleeping beneath the ice. The response from the Keeper Prime was immediate and devastating. It raised one of its arms toward the sky, and the very air around it began to shimmer with energy. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of absolute authority. Cathari vessels, it broadcast on frequencies that cut through their shielding like it didn't exist. You have made a grave error. The species you seek to destroy has been judged worthy of our protection. Withdraw now, or face the consequences. In the Cathari flagship, War Prime Zaltos stared at the image of the architect on his main screen. His xenobiology experts were frantically comparing the creature to their databases, and what they found made his limbs shake with terror. War Prime, his chief scientist, reported, his voice barely a whisper. The quantum signatures match theoretical models of predecessor technology, but that's impossible. The predecessors were extinct before our species evolved. The Keeper response to their silence was swift and decisive. It gestured again, and the space around the Cathari fleet began to distort. Reality itself seemed to bend, and suddenly their weapons systems were offline. Their engines were dead, and their shields were flickering like candles in a hurricane. "We are the architects," the Keeper Prime spoke, its voice now carrying harmonics. That made the Cathari ship's hulls vibrate. "We are the builders of worlds, the shepherds of evolution, the guardians of potential. We have watched this species struggle and grow, and we have seen in them something that we had thought lost to. The galaxy." More architects were emerging across Antarctica now, their massive forms reshaping the landscape as they rose. Some were clearly designed for construction, their bodies equipped with tools that could reshape matter at the molecular level. Others were built for war, their forms bristling with weapons that made the Cathari fleet look like toys. But it was the third type that truly terrified the alien invaders. These architects were smaller than the others, more organic in appearance, and their eyes held a depth of intelligence that suggested they were the thinkers, the strategists, the ones who made decisions that affected entire civilizations. Small builders, one of these addressed the humans directly. "You have shown us something we had forgotten, the courage to face extinction rather than surrender freedom. This is a rare quality in the galaxy. Most species choose survival over dignity. But you, you would rather die free than live as slaves." Webb felt tears streaming down his face as he realized what was happening. "Are you going to help us? Help you?" The architect's response carried undertones of amusement. "Small builder, we are going to do far more than help you. We are going to make you an offer that will change the course of your species forever." The Keeper Prime stepped forward, its massive form casting shadows that seemed to bend light itself. "The galaxy is vast and often cruel. We have seen countless species rise and fall, most of them forgotten by history. But occasionally, we encounter a species that possesses the spark of true potential. Your species is one such discovery." Zaltos, watching from his disabled flagship, felt his courage finally break. "All ships, prepare for emergency jump. We're retreating immediately." But the architect's response was gentle and terrifying. "Cathari Warprim, your ships will remain here until this matter is resolved. Consider this a learning experience." The space around the Cathari fleet solidified, trapping them in a bubble of crystallized reality. They were prisoners, held by technology that operated on principles their science couldn't even begin to understand. Now, the Keeper Prime continued, addressing both the humans and their would-be conquerors, "We will make our offer. Humanity, you have impressed us with your courage and your refusal to surrender. We offer you protection, knowledge, and guidance as you take your place among the stars. But this gift comes with a price." Webb felt his heart sink. "What price?" "You must prove that you deserve it. You must show that you can be trusted with the power we offer. And you must demonstrate that you understand the responsibility that comes with protecting other species as we have protected you." The test they proposed was simple in concept but devastating in its implications. The architects would restore the Cathari ships and give them a choice: leave Earth in peace and spread word of humanity's protection, or face the consequences of their aggression. But humanity had to make a choice as well. The architects offered them technology that would make them one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Weapons that could reshape reality, defenses that could stop entire fleets, knowledge that would advance their civilization by thousands of years. But they also offered something more difficult: the responsibility to use that power wisely. If you accept our offer, the Keeper Prime explained, you will become the newest members of the Architect Coalition. You will help us guide younger species, protect them from those who would exploit their weakness, and ensure that the galaxy remains a place where potential can flourish. Webb looked around at the faces of his surviving staff, seeing the same mixture of hope and terror that he felt. And if we refuse, then we will protect you from this immediate threat and return to our sleep. Your species will develop naturally, facing whatever challenges the galaxy presents. We will not interfere again. The choice was unanimous. Humanity accepted the offer, and with it, the burden of becoming something more than they had ever imagined possible. The Cathari fleet was released with a warning that echoed across the galaxy. Earth was under the protection of the architects, and humanity had been inducted into an ancient alliance that predated most known civilizations. Any species that threatened them would face consequences that defied imagination. Warprim Zaltos broadcast the message to every corner of space, his voice shaking with the memory of what he had witnessed. Earth is forbidden. The humans are under architect protection. Any who ignore this warning will face the wrath of beings who were old when the galaxy was young. The message spread like wildfire through the galaxy's communication networks, carried by traders, diplomats, and survivors of humanity's first contact with the wider universe. Earth, the small blue world that had seemed so vulnerable, was now marked as one of the most dangerous places in known space. But for humanity, the real work was just beginning. The architects had given them knowledge and power, but they had also given them a purpose that would define their species for generations to come. They were no longer just humans trying to survive in a hostile universe. They were the newest guardians of potential, protectors of the weak, and shepherds of species that had yet to find their place among the stars. In the depths of Antarctica, the architects continued their work, preparing humanity for challenges that would test every aspect of their courage and wisdom. The war that had begun with Earth's near extinction had ended with humanity's transformation into something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that had earned the right to stand alongside the most ancient and powerful beings in the universe. The message they sent to the stars was simple: Earth remembers, Earth protects, and Earth will never again stand alone.